Hello, everybody. So, today we are going to be discussing Rain World. Rain World was developed by Videocult and published by Adult Swim Games. For everybody, Adult Swim Games is actually known for publishing a lot of kind of weird indie games that are often pretty difficult. Like, I saw another game that they published. It's called Wasted. It's kind of a Fallout type game, but that's a tangent.
I recently started playing.
So I think, yeah, it looks pretty interesting, but that's not where we're going to talk.
Just a quick side note, it is still available in the Humble Bundle
Oh,
for
it is?
another 17 hours.
Nice.
We should explain who we are and why we're doing this too.
Yep. Okay, we can switch over to introductions. Now, I'm not sure what order we're going to do this in, so anybody who wants to talk, just go for it. Well, actually, no. Mitch, fucking describe what this fucking game is first.
I'm Mitch. I chose this game, Rain World, as our choice for the game to play for our game discussion group. Rain World is a 16-bit survival platformer set in an abandoned industrial environment scourged by a shattered ecosystem. Bone-crushing intense rain pounds the surface regularly, making life as we know it almost impossible. The creatures in this world hibernate most of the time, but in a few brief dry periods they go out searching for food. Nomadic slugcat, both predator and prey in this land. You must hunt enough food to survive another cycle of hibernation. Other bigger creatures have the same plan. Inspired by the aesthetics of simplicity of the 16-bit classics, the gameplay consists of platforming and fast-paced sneaking, both sneaking on your prey and sneaking in order to avoid larger creatures. A large focus of the development has been on enemy AI. They are cunning, vicious, and they're always hunting you. I loved this game. I put in roughly 73 hours into the game. I've played through it one whole time from start to completion, and then started my second playthrough. Overall, I say I really liked the game, but there are definitely some big negatives. And then I think start with Allie, go down the list based on the Google Drive.
Okay. My name is Allie, and I think I put in 2.5 hours on this game. First impressions, I didn't really like it, so I didn't play it as much. I think the biggest thing that I struggled with personally was I didn't know what to do or where to go or what the purpose was, and so that didn't really drive my motivation to keep playing.
Hi everyone, my name's Josh. My first impressions of this game, I kind of took to it right away because I usually like challenging games, but I agree with what Ali said. The lack of instruction when you're going through the first parts of the game kind of leads the player to not know where they have to go or what the objective is of the game. So I would say that it's an average game for me altogether.
Marcus.
Yeah, I didn't show up on the list there. Yeah, I'm Marcus. I put in about 12 hours, and I absolutely loved the first few hours. I loved the entire game feel. But then I got really lost, and just the lack of direction and help just screwed me over, and I got stuck for like 8 hours. And basically gave up.
What did you think of the game overall?
I don't know. I don't know that I can recommend it or that I can say I really like or dislike it. Knowing that I'm actually in a dead end where I can't beat it and try again from there. I feel like I'd really enjoy it if I was able to beat it.
Right. Nick, you're next on my list that I have here.
Hello everyone, I'm Nick. I'd say my overall thought of the game, it's bad. It's bad. There's so many choices that I'm like, why the fuck did the game developers thought this was a good idea? But I originally liked the game when I played it for like 8 hours. I just explored every single possibility that there is. And then I just got really tired of it because I kept dying so much. that I finally just like looked at a map and continued the way, and that just showed even more flaws in the game when I was going through to more areas and seeing more creatures and shit. Yeah.
Noah, you're up next.
All right, I'm Noah. I also didn't really care for this game too much. At least for me, it was a game I could only really play for like 15 or 20 minutes in a time. So I don't know. I didn't get very far. I only put in like I think 2 hours, just because like I couldn't really get into it a lot.
Right. Then Zach, you're the last one.
Okay. God, I feel like you guys are pulling me towards liking this game more because we're taking a bat to it. So I'm about God, let me bring up Steam and check exactly how long I've been playing this. Rain World. Yeah, I've been playing about 10 to 12 hours. It's my first impressions of it were, it's kind of a simple game. You're just running around, you're picking stuff up, throwing spears, eating food, just moving around. But it's actually, the more I played it, the more I liked it, and the more like frustrated at bits I got. My favorite part was always like getting to a new area and like finding all the new stuff. I think at the point I'm at, I like the game and I want to go forward with it, but I'm also kind of wary of it because I have died a lot, and we can discuss that more.
So I want to make note on like some of the things people said, because I have some thoughts right away off the bat based on everyone else's thoughts. And having played the most and disagree with almost everything everyone said, and I understand where everyone's coming from, because I was in the exact same boat, and for almost everything, for almost every single person, I was in the same position as you at one point, and I almost quit the game. This game is really, really unforgiving.
Oh, yeah.
No. It is unfair.
I would agree.
Yeah, and I can back that up. Why I say that is because
This is unfair.
yeah, the RNG. It's too RNG. Like
What part of RNG? Like what? In what way?
Crushing difficulty combined with RNG.
food, it's not consistent, and the enemies.
I've
Like-
found food to be pretty consistent, at least in like certain rooms. Like there's always berries or flies or whatever.
Did they put a patch into that? Because I swear, like when I find a big, huge nest of bats and I go there once, the next time I go there, it's completely empty.
From what
I think
I've
is
never
a
had
thing
that
where-
issue.
I think there is a
From what
thing
I've done
where
for
if
food-
you spend like multiple cycles going to one food area, it'll get like used up or something, and you got to wait a little bit.
That'd probably be why then.
Yeah. So from what I've seen is if you continually die and like you're not getting another checkpoint, for the most part, food should stay exactly where it is, without any problems, because you're not getting to another checkpoint to save your progress. But if you continually move to checkpoints and go back and forth to the same exact, or even if you go back and stay the night in the same checkpoint you were before, but you stayed the night and slept, after so many nights, or even one or two sometimes, they will take away the food source that you have there, so they force you to move somewhere else in the game.
Yeah.
But I know from experience that can be very frustrating, because there are certain areas where it's the only food source that you can find
can't
anywhere
move
close.
onto the karma door without staying there. See, that's
I think this game where it becomes too difficult sometimes are the karma doors, and the funny thing about that is they actually patched the karma doors after a week and a half, and they made it way easier in certain circumstances. But that's not a core of the game. Like there are certain spots where
I'd say like it's a huge core.
they made it easier to go back. Like if you get into a place at like a top tier karma, going back, they changed it so that it wasn't also top tier karma. They lowered it down to like 1 or 2.
Yeah, but
You
you're
know,
always
you
trying
don't
to
have to.
forward.
You're always trying to move
through the
forward.
story.
That kind of brings up the karma doors kind of bring up
Can we talk about this cancer?
This game.
That was
I
one
think
of
before
my
we talk
initial
about this-
problems with it. They don't tell you about the karma system, at least in the tutorial, I think, right off the bat. I had to
But
look
before we
that
talk
shit
about
up.
Oh, I wasn't even aware there was one.
Yeah, but before we talk about the karma, I think we should quickly go over the core gameplay and how the karma fits into it, because it's kind of hard to explain
I mean, just
how
leave
the
this
karma
a
is really
pretty
annoying
casual discussion
without
moment.
doing it.
Okay. All right. Then let's talk about the slugcat mechanics, I guess.
All right. So, well, by default, for the slugcat, you have the ability to jump, dive, jump, throw objects. Am I missing anything else?
You can
hold
you can,
two objects and you can switch them between your hands.
Oh, yep. You
Okay,
can
and then
also cartwheel. You can
Yeah,
also
I have
drop.
not figured out how to. I've not figured out successfully how to cartwheel. I've done it multiple times, but can't do it consistently.
I'm on board with that too.
Or the cartwheel.
It's when you have to run like for a certain over like a second, and then when you change directions, you hear like this little like it's a little animation, and you have to jump during that animation.
And you can also wall jump.
Oh, yeah,
Jump,
wall
you can
jumping.
feign death, which is the dumbest fucking mechanic.
I
You can
didn't know
fake
that.
It
death.
took me a
Yeah,
while.
exactly.
Like,
Probably nobody. I don't know how it even works.
so the way it works is you have to press in one direction, jump into a wall, and then as you hit the wall, you have to mash it in the other direction and jump again.
wait.
And you got to do
wall
like
jump-
that.
Oh, I'm a fucking master at
No,
that.
wall
I was
jumping,
feign
I
death.
love that. Yeah, it was like easy peasy. Picked it up
I
right
think
away.
I think I know how feint death works, but it's like a 50-50.
Holy crap! I did not even know this was a thing. I've played this game for 75 hours.
See,
Did
that's
not
why I'm
know you can
saying.
feign death at
Yeah.
all.
Wait, you can feign death?
Yeah. God damn.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Wait, what?
That's
All right,
what he's
so let me-
saying.
Let me talk about this. Okay, yeah, this. So, have you ever noticed sometimes when you were caught by a lizard and then all of a sudden you were free?
Yeah, I've had that happen many times.
That's because you feign death. So basically, once you were caught, don't exit out right away and just wait a while. Usually, if it's a lizard by itself, you're pretty much dead. But if there's another one nearby, it'll try fight for that food source. So they'll kind of bump into each other, and then it frees you up and you can run away. But yeah, the game does not tell you at all how to fucking do it, or because for the longest time, I just quit back out to respawn as soon as I'm caught.
One other thing with the core gameplay is that you can also store objects in your stomach. If you hold, you can store a single object in your stomach to just keep for later. So you can hold 3 objects instead of 2. Because you can hold 1 in each hand, and then you can double press X. What item is in your primary hand?
Yep, didn't know that either.
But
Yeah,
for the core,
because the game doesn't tell you at all.
so that was another thing I was going to bring up. So we've pretty much covered the core gameplay, but I think I noticed a lot of people talking about how some people didn't know certain things existed in the game, and having played the game 75 hours, I've still found things that I did not know happened in the game. And I think that's because this game has a really big problem of not of the functions of the game and what everything that can be done or can be done to you.
And I think that's kind of something that's been coming up a lot more recently with I wouldn't say this game is a roguelite game, but it happens with a lot of roguelite games like Don't Starve, a lot of the kind of craft shit games where it's they don't tell you very much and they kind of expect you to look it up on the wiki.
Or the Dark Souls era. Too many games are trying to be hard,
Yeah.
but they go too far, but not enough sometimes.
I mean,
Yeah,
I do enjoy games that don't
Hard in
really
the wrong
fully
ways.
explain things, because I hate it when games hold your hand through the first 5 minutes or whatever. That bothers me more than not having stuff explained to me.
So, I guess, would you say that you guys feel even a simplistic tutorial, like something where it shows you the motions you can go through once, does that assist
Well,
you in playing games like this bit more?
The paperclip, how it showed us half the controls.
Paperclip.
Yeah, that's what they call it online. Because
Yeah, that's what other people have called it.
like when he first tells you this is how you move, this is how you like crouch jump or something, if you just kept doing that for the rest of the things just once, that would have been perfectly fine. And then like from there on.
Well, what I've noticed is that there's a bunch of those things where the paperclip tells you what to do, but they're in very specific locations. But this game is not linear in any way, shape, or form. Because game a good 40 hours and then having to start over because I had to play on a different computer. So I started a new file over and then played the route, a different route to get to the same place, but I went a totally different way and found out 2 new things I did not know existed in the game because I never had gone to the area where the paperclip explains them to you. Got to that, I was like, holy crap, why is this in this specific location only, even though you can totally skip that part?
We should explain what the paperclip is too, for the purposes of the podcast.
So the paperclip is, there's no explanation at first. He's just a little spirit
worm kind of thing.
Yeah, light spirit worm thing that follows you around and just kind of sticks somewhere onto the map and like points you into either a safe zone where you can stay during the rainy season, or it'll point you kind of towards the story direction. And it can also point out danger.
And it can also show you like little images and stuff.
Yeah, so you get like some of the story elements through the paperclip as well, like flashing different images of like lore and like kind of what's going on and stuff like that.
There's little tidbits of dialogue that appear as well, but those are very few and far between, and it's definitely not something that's consistent throughout the game.
Yeah, as we talked about before, some people have gotten that, and I'm one of the people who did not see that at all.
Yeah, I haven't either.
So like, I don't know. That's another flaw. Like, I never encountered any of those text boxes to explain things a little bit further detail. It seemed
on the paperclip thing, I also wanted to mention that there are actually 3 paperclips.
Yep.
There's the gold paperclip, which is the one that's helping you most of the time. There's this green-blue paperclip. And the green-blue paperclip, I have not honestly... They help you sometimes to find safe zones and stuff, but I don't really know what else purpose they have.
So those are
and then there's
basically
also
quest trackers. There's quests in this game. And those 2 are for side quests.
Interesting.
Because, you know, fuck you. That's what this game says. It doesn't...
Okay.
Do you guys
that definitely makes more sense. Because there was a part in the game where... I don't want to spoil anything yet until we get to a little further on talking about how the game progresses, but I came down out of the 5 pebbles, and on my way leaving the 5 pebbles, I had 8 of those green-blue paperclips with me.
I didn't encounter the green ones, but I have encountered the blue, and I had 4 blue ones at once. Yeah. So
no, it wasn't the green ones. Sorry, it was the blue ones. I had 8 of the blue ones at once on the same screen, and I was really confused. It's like, why the hell do I have 8 of these? On the green paperclip though, I've never seen, but I have heard. Okay. I have heard about him while browsing stuff on looking into the game, but I've never actually seen the green paperclip.
So the 3 different colors are the gold one, the green one, and the blue ones.
Yep.
Yes.
Can we hear thoughts on people who haven't gone very far about, like, do you guys even try following where the yellow guy was pointing?
I would try, but there's a lot of times where I felt like it just was like leading me in circles, and so I just kind of gave up eventually.
I thought at first that it was something that you're supposed to catch and eat.
Yeah, me too. That was
So
my
I'd,
very first reaction.
Yeah.
Ironically, if you throw like spears and stuff at him, he'll actually just leave.
Dude, I might have done that on accident once.
Yeah, you can scare him away.
I think I did that.
I totally tried throwing stuff at him, but I think I missed pretty much all the time because throwing stuff in that game is hard to aim.
Yes, it's not that easy.
I mostly used him as a warning system to see if there's lizards up above the pipes that I was going through.
He's very useful for that.
Yeah, otherwise I didn't find a lot of use. He'd sometimes show me where the shelter was at, but I mean, it doesn't even point you to a tube that you could use or anything like that.
No,
he doesn't do that.
General pointer.
It just shows you a direction, and that's not very useful at the time.
He just randomly, they just point a direction, like, go kind of that way.
Yeah.
He sometimes points out food too, like, hey, there's bats over here, but like, that's only sometimes, and that's more or less. If you've been dying a lot and not finding food, then he'll be like, oh, maybe I should finally help you because you've been dying a ton.
Right.
So my interpretation, when I kept seeing him, I thought he was pointing me towards like immediate sources of food, immediate danger, or like when the rain was about to come, he'd point towards the nearest
Yep.
hibernation spot. So that's all he did. So I started ignoring him after maybe an hour. I was just going wherever I wanted, and that's how I got so lost. But I don't think I ever saw him pointing a direction. I may have gone in all the wrong rooms for that to happen, but
It's when there'll be certain symbols that will pop up. Either like at one point it shows the head of moon, and that's one point, it'll show a slug cat.
Head.
So it's not necessarily obvious that it's trying to help you go in a direction because you see a random symbol that means nothing to you, and it's just pointing to it. So, yeah, in that way. So I want to bring up difficulty. What do people think of the difficulty of this game? Because I think that's a very, I think that's part of the reason some people really don't like this game.
personally, if it was the same difficulty with none of the karma bit in at all, it was just, you die, you bypass hibernation, and then to be able to hibernate in the future, you need to get enough food. But no karma gates, nothing else like that. I would have been totally happy with that difficulty. I think it might have needed something to make it harder still at that point, but I don't know. I thought it was mostly fair, except for the in the filtration area. There was no actual strategy. I mean, I couldn't find a good strategy because you can't get around them very well. You're just screwed.
What was that, Nick?
We should pause and quick talk about the karma.
I'm like building off of
Yeah,
what
'cause I have no clue what this karma system is. Like, I didn't get into it at all.
So this is basically what makes the game hard, like unfairly hard. Basically, the karma system is when you hibernate, like you eat enough past 5 foods or past 4 foods. If you hibernate, you go up 1 level of karma. It's this little symbol at the bottom left screen. And if you die, you go down 1 level of karma. So what you use that karma for is when you get to these really large doors, you see symbols on there. And you need to have at least that symbol or higher to be able to progress, to get past through that gate.
Real quick, Nick, can you explain the hibernation and food system? Because we haven't gone over that yet. We touched on it, but
basically, this is a survival game. It's trying to be realistic in this crazy hunting gathering world. And each time you wake up after it rains, you basically take up energy to like live throughout it, and you have to go out and hunt for food. So that could be a source of bats, bugs, or fruit. And you need 5 or more of eating those things, basically, to live through the next hibernation once you get to a safe zone.
it's actually 4.
Actually, yeah, you only need 4.
No, it's 4,
You need 4.
and then you need 1 up. What, really?
Yeah,
You don't actually need 1 more. The 1 more just gives you a bonus of having extra food when you wake up, so
But
you
it
don't have to hunt as much.
It takes 5. Takes 5 to
Everyone
hibernate.
consumes 4.
Wait, is it 7? Is it 7 total?
yeah.
Yeah, 7
okay,
total.
Okay,
and it
whoops,
contains 4.
okay. I was thinking it was 8 total. There. Okay. So listen to what.
So yeah, you have. So while you're eating and collecting food, you can eat up to 7 pieces of food, which is either bats, berries, or otherwise. And then when you go into hibernate, it subtracts 4 from your food bar, and then you wake up the next day, and then you have to get up enough again to at least have 4 total to hibernate again.
Yep. So yeah,
That's
each time you hibernate,
karma.
it goes 1 up karma.
Yeah. So then you keep building your karma, and I think at the start of the game there's 5 levels, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
I think
Yep,
so.
So
I've been sitting at the bottom the whole time. So yep, there's 5.
So there's 5. There's 5 karma levels to start, and then later in the game you get an additional 5, so you have total 10 karma to go through.
Is that all stacking on the final karma symbol?
No, it's their own symbols.
Oh, really?
But what's
They're
weird
separate
is, like,
symbols.
those I feel are so pointless because you don't need those, at least from what I've seen, to get through the gates.
So you don't need them for the gates, but you do need it for the end of the game.
Okay, the depths.
Yeah, for the depths, and you also need it for one of the side quests. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
All right, so it's like
but
anyway.
not, and it's not necessary for the core game. Like
Yeah.
for the majority of the game, it's not important. But with the karma system, as Nick was explaining, you have up to 5 you start with, and you need certain levels. So like the first door out of Outskirts, I think, is karma 3. So you have to get to karma 3, and then go through the door, and then once you go through the door, and then to go back to the door, you also need karma, which is usually slightly lower than going into it. So maybe you need karma.
It can be the same too.
But
I guess it depends on where you come from.
it depends on where you're at and which sections you're going through.
Yeah.
And then if you lose karma, every time you die, you go down 1 karma. So that's where the game gets really difficult, because if you keep dying because you're in a hard place, you're stuck somewhere, you lose all of your karma and you go back to the first karma level.
All right. I want to give a really good example of why this is such a bullshit thing. So I was in the section chimney canopy? Chimney canopy?
Yeah, the chimney.
And I'm trying to go to Sky Islands, and there's a safe zone right at the gate, and that's where I was, but there's no safe zone on the other side of it. But to get to the other side, I need at least 1 point of karma, like the next level above. But when I went through the gate, the place is infested with fuckload of lizards. That is just super hard, so it's really easy to die. And then when you die, I go down to the lowest level karma. I can't get through the gate again, so I have to backtrack into a place that was really fucking scarce with food, and was also crawling with lizards and vultures flying above me. And that made the game so difficult. If they just put another safe gate on the other side, wouldn't have complained about that so much.
Yep, that's the exact same scenario that I stopped at today when I played the last. I needed the 5th karma actually to get through that gate, which I had, and then of course I died to a bunch of scavengers, and then came back and died again. So I was 2 down, and I couldn't make it back to where I thought was the natural progression for the world.
Oh, yeah, this is a good map.
The karma system is definitely one of the things that makes the games way harder than it should be, because there are times where you're doing perfectly fine and you're holding onto your karma like no other, and then you just hit this one spot and you just die, and then you find out that right past that spot you died, you actually need all of your karma, and then you have to spend tons of days in the section you're in just hoarding food, and then hopefully trying to get to the end to get to the karma gate.
Yeah. I want to add another thing. This is why I also think the game's unfair, because that whole karma system you have to keep up. I'm at the one that I need, and I'm traveling to the gate, and I go right through a tunnel. Boom! As soon as I exit the tunnel, there's a lizard mouth right there. So I go basically in his mouth, and I have no control over it.
That's the scenario where the paperclip would have been able to help, I think.
No, because it's going through the pipe into a next part of the map. So I can't. It goes over, and the lizard's right there, and I'm still traveling through the pipe. I have no control whatsoever to do that.
No, but what he's saying is the paperclip will sometimes tell you that there's an enemy right through the pipe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's sometimes, not 100%.
Yeah.
It was still
It's
trash.
definitely not 100%.
You don't have to leave the pipe right when you go through it, though.
No, didn't I? I've had 3 times where I went directly snatched up instantly.
The lizards can travel through the pipes as well. So
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Right. I'm just saying, even if you're at the final spot where you can choose to either go back into the pipe or exit, they can still grab you out of there, regardless of if you leave that pipe, like you were saying.
Yeah.
One more thing I think we should explain about this game that we haven't really brought up is how the game is divided. So the game is actually separated into rooms, and then each room you can go through the pipes that we were talking about, and the pipes bring you to the next room. Like a classic, like Super Metroid, or old rooms like that, where the game is separated into a bunch of different individual spaces.
Yeah, all the movement in between the entrance of the pipe and the exit of the pipe is just automatic, so you can't stop or turn around or anything like that. You have to go from the entrance to the exit, and then you can choose to either go back or forward from there.
And then within that, each larger section is filled with a bunch of rooms, and then there are 3 layers, a foreground, middle ground, background, in each section. And then those sections connect through the gates we were talking about that you need karma to get through from one section to the other section.
Since you brought up the layers, can we talk about that map?
So I think the map's going to be, some people are going to dislike it and some people are going to like it. I personally thought the map was really interesting, but I also feel like it's hard to understand quite often. Talking about stuff that
it
not
took me a while to like figure out the map and how exactly it worked.
Yeah, and then talking about things that aren't explained, they don't explain at all, and that you can actually change layers of what map you're on.
Yep.
So if you open the map, and B, to change through the foreground, middle ground, background, so you can look at the map on different layers that you aren't on. But that is never explained in the game at all, and I found out on
go to your
accident.
map. It
shows
says
in
it
the
in
bottom
like
right.
it shows in the bottom right if you press those buttons that it changes layers.
I noticed there was. Yeah, I noticed there was layers, but I was never aware you could change between them on the map. And like the only reason I realized there was layers is because the different color. There's different colors of lizards throughout the game, and the blue ones, it seemed like could travel between the middle layer and the outer layer that I was on, and it just looks like they're walking over air pretty much. So.
I think the map actually brings up a huge flaw in the game. That basically this whole game is you're timed. Like you have a certain time to get to a shelter before the rain happens. This map is the worst loading map I've ever fucking experienced in the game. Like I would hold the map and it just goes
Oh my god, yes.
slowly from my character branching out.
Yes.
I'm like, what the fuck? Come on.
Yes. It's so
it's
slow.
definitely a slow
And
loading.
it's so inconsistent. Sometimes it'll load really fast for me. Other times, yeah, it would be slow.
It was pretty much always slow for me, and it was just like, really, this is a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
You're saying it's either at the speed of a slug or a cat?
pretty much. So yeah, I think that's a huge fault in it because that's sucking up so much time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that could be oh, it's a penalty for looking at a map so you can backtrack or some shit. I don't know. What the fuck the designers are thinking, but
It would have been nice if it was really snappy. Just it instantly pops up, so you just need to see it for a split second, but it takes 5 or 10 seconds to bring it up.
Well, and since the map doesn't even pause the game, you sometimes then you're losing control of your character to open up a map and then just sit and wait for it to load.
Yep.
While it's happening, like an enemy lizard and just kill you while you're waiting in the map for the map to load.
that's happened to me a couple times.
What I ended up doing was I would try to figure out where I needed to go and the best way and figure out what doors I need to take when I was waiting for the safe room to open up.
See,
That's usually what I did as well.
I got so frustrated with that map that's where I broke and fuck it, I'm looking them up online so I can just quickly tab instead of bringing it up because it's so much faster. But then that helps me a lot through the game because I just ignore certain parts of areas.
So someone brought up teleporting, and I wanted to explain that because I feel like most people don't understand how that works at all. Does anyone know about the teleporting thing?
Teleporting? Okay, no. I think I know what you're saying. There's a little button on the pause screen that's in the bottom left or whatever.
It says teleport.
No, to me
So this is
said
something I really
passage, and it showed a symbol.
Passage, that's right. That's what it's called. It's passage, not teleport. It works the same way. So this is something I really liked and something I didn't like about the game. So passage is a really cool concept in that. So sometimes when you pause your game, I think it might only be after you've saved in a save station that passage pops up. I can't remember for sure.
I think it happens
but-
after you go visit the thing.
Well, no, so
Looks
this is
to the
like-
moon.
That's
That's when it
not true. So
That's
the
when it
thing is,
happened.
this is where. So that's what I was going to explain. So here's how passage works, and it's not explained at all, which is what I don't like about it. But I like part of it is whenever you get. So there's a bunch of achievements in this game. Achievements can be earned in game, and they actually affect the in-game content, which is something I really like. Is that all of the achievements have a physical presence in the game, and they're not just this mean nothing other outside of it. It's not just
Really?
like the Steam thing. So
What
when
is,
you unlock an achievement in the game, is the survive at Karma 5 for so many days. When you get that first achievement, you unlock a passage token. that passage token moves to the bottom of your screen, every time you go to the save point to leave, you have an option to use passage. You have to use it. I didn't know what the fuck it did the first time, and I wasted my first 3 until I figured out how it worked. You click passage, you can then teleport to any other section of the game through your passage token.
That you've previously been to.
Does it give you
Yeah,
like
so
a
you-
list of the names?
Yeah, so you can every section you've been to, you can scroll through the list, outskirts, 5 pebbles, low underhang, everything in the game. As long as you've been there, you can select through it and it will teleport you to the beginning of that section.
So is that based on shelters that you've been to, or is it as long as you've explored that area?
As long as you've been to the area at least once, then you can teleport to it with a passage. So the thing is when you only can if you have completed an achievement. So every time you complete an achievement in the game, you unlock an extra passage token. So you can keep
Okay.
so you have a reason to progress for the passage tokens. Like you want to complete achievements because by doing achievements, you unlock these tokens that allow you to teleport across the map to easily cross the map and not have to worry about karma gates.
Fuck, man, I could have gone from 5 pebbles back. I could have beaten the game.
Yeah, you can teleport from 5
gone just a
pebbles
different
all the
way.
You could have just teleported all the way back, but you didn't know because the game doesn't explain it. I think
Yeah,
we
that's
keep
why
going back to this.
Because I know, like, I read about the teleport thing, and then I saw the passage, and I'm like, I bet that's, like, the teleport thing. But I had no idea how it worked, so I never clicked it, because, like, I didn't want to teleport and, like, thinking erase all that progress that I made. Because, like, I had no idea what would teleport me or anything. I didn't know I had choices. Fucking thing.
Right?
Yeah, I think they like passage. The way the system works with passage is really interesting and really cool. But like I said, they don't explain anything. There's no way to know this. And like I said, the first 3 passage tokens I got, I thought I had to use it right away, and I didn't really understand what was happening. So I did passage every single time, teleported somewhere, trying like each time I like slowly kind of understood what happened, but not really. And so then I'm like, oh, now I get it. You complete an achievement, you unlock a passage token, you can teleport anywhere in the map. But it took me 3 times to figure it out. I didn't understand what was happening before that.
Okay.
Off the passage, has anyone worked on completing any of the achievements that are built in?
Nope.
They're kind of
The only one I went for was the Survivor one.
Same.
I
so after
have the Survivor, 6 grains of gravel, mountains abound, a new friend, and the journey. Only 4.
so I think all the ones you have then are like the ones you get as you progress through the game for the most part. Then
I think 6 grains of gravel and mountain abound is an encounter that you get only if you are at a certain karma level. Does that trigger?
Yes.
And you have to be in that
That's-
area.
Is it only
But-
the first time you go through there?
goddesses, right?
Yeah, the essence of tentacle-looking motherfuckers. They look like gods.
Yeah, like godlike things.
But yeah, you can only see them if you're at a certain karma.
So if you know about that after the fact, can you go back?
Probably.
Yes.
Okay.
You can go. You can go visit them anytime. They're just strewn throughout the world. You just need to make sure you have the right karma for them. If you've been to an area and the area flashes blue, like lightning strike or something, that means you're in an area where a goddess is, but you don't have the right karma level. I think. Pretty sure that's how it works.
Was that the same with the green shit? The
What green
lightning?
stuff? Probably. It's probably the same thing.
I had a question to ask people. What did you think the hardest enemies to deal with in the game that you've encountered is?
Really.
Yeah, we've brought up lizards and I think vultures once.
Fuck
But-
those scavengers.
So the lizards for me were tough at first, but then I got fucking real good at combat and just started hunting them down.
All right. Actually, I want to go on a tangent real quick with that.
Yeah, go
I
for it.
feel like in this game, it has a survival stereotype, which means that generally you want to play safe and gather what you can first, right? That's the
Yep.
normal approach to take for a survival game. But for where I just got to and how I expect the rest of the game to go, based off what you guys are saying, is it's more rewarding for you if you're willing to take some risks and actually engage in more aggressive gameplay, because you're able to make it past things easier. For example, if you're climbing on poles and whatnot, if you have a spear, you can knock down a lizard that's hindering your path or something, you know?
that's pretty much how I learned to fight and like got really good because like I need to progress.
Right. And I think that learning process is probably one of the hardest parts of this game because it's
Yes, really
You
hard
have-
to learn to get good at that.
you don't have 3 hearts or whatever where you can take a couple hits and then retreat and recuperate. You live or you die.
But answering your
I think-
question, Josh, is why I think the most dangerous creature is the daddy long legs in spiders.
I hate daddy long legs. They are by far the worst enemy in this game, and they are so unfair.
Okay, so on that note, has anybody else come across it besides Nick and Mitch?
Nope.
Nope.
What? Oh, the spider. Okay, so you get into, it's actually pretty close to the beginning area.
You can find them in the garbage waste, and then in the underhang, the leg, and
Oh,
five pebbles.
those things. Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, so like you'll be in an area where it's pitch black, you have no light, and that's where they are, and that's what's impossible because I don't think you can kill them at all.
I've never even tried them because they're too fucking hard.
Yeah,
I think it's possible to kill them. It's like you got to hit the like ball things that make up their body. I saw some scavengers trying to kill one.
Yeah, basically it's not worth it because there's so
I think
many.
they succeeded, but they had like bombs and shit.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah. But yeah, they just swarm you,
actually,
slow you
that's
down,
right.
and die.
That sounds awful.
If you use a bomb spear and you stick it in the head, you can kill it in one shot. I remember it.
Not even worth.
Yeah, that sounds so difficult.
Yeah.
You still have to worry about
Well,
all
getting
the
a bomb
others.
spear in the first place.
Yeah, I've
you
never
don't
even
get
heard
bomb spears that often. Like,
of. Did you get that
Heard of
from
bomb
the
spear?
scavenger?
yeah, the scavengers. You can find them in scavenger rooms or from
The merchant?
merchants. Yeah, merchants will often have them.
Okay, I never knew what to do with them, so I just let them be.
So I will say, for the point I'm at, I think the most difficult enemy that I've come across is either the vulture or the camouflage lizards.
Oh my god,
I-
vultures are super hard too.
I wouldn't
I
classify.
haven't encountered a vulture.
I wouldn't say vultures hard because like they're super easy to avoid. I would say they're hard to take down. Like I wouldn't fucking fight it.
Yeah. If you're gonna try killing
but, like-
the vulture, you're gonna get screwed.
Yeah. Then I would say they're probably one of the hardest ones. But
My
otherwise,
reasoning,
easy to run away.
yeah, my reasoning for why I say that, I only found them within the last 30 minutes of gameplay that I did. And so, like, the first time you see them, you're just going around, like,
Yeah.
searching for bats or whatever, and then you just hear the music pick up. We'll probably touch on that later. Yeah, you hear the music pick up, and I'm like, all right, where's the lizard at? I'm looking around on the ground, and suddenly just, like, smoke from the top of the screen, and a giant fucking vulture comes out and just picks me up. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to even deal with this?
First time, your first like few encounters with a vulture, you're just like, what the hell just happened? Like,
Yeah.
you really don't understand what happened, and you have no real warning that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
The next couple times I even tried hiding within a pipe, and they can even, like, to a certain degree, reach in the pipe and pick you out of there.
Yep.
It's bullshit.
Yeah. Their wings can pick you too.
Really?
And like, yep.
Ugh.
That's happened to me once. Like I barely escaped, but yeah. But yeah,
My
we
experience
should,
with
we should talk about like
vultures,
all the monsters then.
So I'm gonna continue with vultures for a sec because we're on the subject. Vultures are really hard, and I think they're one to encounter if you have a group of scavengers with you. So, killed a vulture was when I actually had a giant tribe of scavengers following me around because I had just recently acquired them, and me and like acres just pelted this vulture to death with spears, just like continually pelted him nonstop to like, work with the scavengers, and like together as a whole, all of us took down the vulture. Outside of that, I've never taken a vulture down on my own, and I don't think I ever will. They're really hard.
So, as far as creatures go, I think we should probably have some of the people that played less describe the ones that they've found first.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that-
that's what I was
we
gonna
should
say.
probably start with the lizards, and then the people who haven't played as much can talk about them.
I guess so. With all the lizard kinds, I actually never combated the lizards. I just I'd stun them and jump past. I was doing the really aggressive playstyle, and I don't mean like combat aggressive. I would get as far as I could before hibernating, even at the risk of possibly dying, because I'd rather scout out the entire map and then find a hibernation spot before using up all the food. Because I'd watched Mitch play a little bit before, and I didn't want to screw myself over at gates, so I just didn't want to take the chance with combat that early. And then by the time I got the courage to fight lizards, I was, not in an area that works for combat. The pipes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I came across the invisible ones, or the ones that blend in.
Fuck them.
2 or 3 times.
I
And-
never found those ones.
Those fuckers have a tongue that's like half your computer screen.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Jesus.
I got caught between 2 tongues once, and I was just like, "What do I even do here?"
Yeah. So the feigning death thing, I accidentally discovered that today. This morning I was trying to play, and yet one of them grabbed me as I was going past. Another one came up and bit the other one, and I just like my limp body fell down a pipe, like all the way to like a few screens down. And I was like, oh, I guess I survived. But then instantly got killed by another one. But
I hate how some lizards can just climb the air.
Yeah, the
That's
blue
the
ones.
blue lizards. Yes. So what I've realized, I think the blue lizards can crawl on the background.
Yeah.
So if there's
that's
pipes
why
in the
it's-
background, they can cross them anywhere they want on there, and it's so fucking annoying because you can't. They'll walk in places that you obviously have no getting anywhere close to them, or there's nowhere to cross, and they can just cross over and get right to you.
Can the white ones do that too? The camouflage ones?
Yeah, they can.
That's what I thought.
At least
Yeah,
I-
the white ones can as well.
Hold on though. I had asked, and we didn't get everybody's opinion, so I wanted to ask, Allie, what was your hardest enemy that you encountered?
I think I only found the lizards, and I didn't think they were that hard. I just like jumped on the ropes and stuff, and kind of like Tarzaned across and waited for them. But then I was like, oh wait, I remember seeing a stick back in that other area, so I grabbed the stick and like decided to try and see if like I didn't know if you could like kill things or if you were supposed to avoid. I don't know what you're technically supposed to do, but I went back, grabbed that, and tried to stab the lizard. And I think I hit them in like the back of the neck. But then he was just like, "Nice try." So I jumped up back on top of the ropes and forgot about the combat. Yeah.
So I haven't come across any enemies that really die easily in this game. Is there anything like that, Nick or Mitch, that you've seen?
Enemies.
I don't know if these are really like enemies,
Not
but there's, like
really.
the giant bugs that kind of like fly around. I don't know if they're really.
No, they're
enemies.
neutral.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are neutral.
I've killed those in like one shot.
Yeah, all the enemies are pretty tanky, but all the neutral passive shit is they can die really easily.
So that kind of brings me back to the point, like, people wouldn't think to be aggressive because of that, You have that experience like Ali was talking about. You go and pick up a spear and you're like, all right, this seems like a pretty good weapon. And then you go and you try using it on a lizard and they just don't care at all.
Yeah, like I had to throw like 3 or 4 spears at a lizard before it like ran away. Like it didn't even die; it like ran away.
Yeah. So
Yeah, lizard takes a lot of practice. Once you get to the point, you kind of just have to get good with. You can take them out with one spear, but you have to be really good at avoiding them close range. So you spear them, or knock them out with a thing, and then spear them, and then grab them. And spear
Because
them, and just
if they're
keep
too close, you
spearing
can
them.
spear over.
Yeah,
Um,
you're just gonna keep spearing them over and over again.
this is on a tangent again. I wanted to ask, how many people actually ran out of time during a cycle?
Oh, I have.
In the beginning, all the time, because
Oh, yeah.
what I did was I just explored.
Same.
I just died on purpose to the rain.
I think that's one reason why I stopped playing is because I got caught in the rain 2 times and I was like, oh, maybe I should try to find some underground thing. And I couldn't find anything, so I was like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
Yeah. I managed to avoid that until just recently as well. And yeah, I mean, so I'm going to kind of explain how it goes, I guess. each time that you come out of hibernation, you have I think it's probably like 10 minutes, give or take.
It fluctuates.
Does it actually? Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's random.
it's bullshit.
Yeah. And it's not even
Hey,
the
man.
most obvious timer because it's just like you have to hold down the space key, which shows the number of food that you have, I believe. And there's a bunch of little circles around your karma symbol in the bottom left. But yeah, if it fluctuates in time, then I'm guessing that the little circles disappear at a different rate every time that you're in a different cycle.
Yeah, there's just less circles.
Yeah, you'll have less circles. There's different numbers. Sometimes you get days with like a ton of circles. Sometimes you get days with like 8.
Yeah. So my experience with the rain the first time, outside of the very first cycle, that is like I was going around trying to search for food. This is after I died to after that karma gate where I didn't have the 5th karma anymore. So I was just trying to find a bunch of food to stockpile, like you guys were suggesting before. And I was avoiding like 3 lizards in one room, I believe, and then they suddenly just all started like running around really frantically. And I'm just like, this seems different. You know, they all just took off to the sides of the rooms and went through the pipes and everything. I was like, well, you know, it's not me being ferocious and scaring them away, so something's obviously happening. And then the screen starts shaking. And it's like, well, I think I just messed something up. Screen shakes a bunch. You generally try to hide, I'm assuming most people would. And then just a bunch of rain starts pouring down on the screen until you can't really see anything, and then it just says that you died. So,
Yeah, like once it starts shaking and stuff, you have like hardly any time.
I think the first time that you encounter the rain is probably one of the most atmospheric and like most intense things in the game. It's like the first encounter of the rain the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Your
is.
first rain
It's not possible.
encounter is super terrifying.
It's not possible to survive the rain. However, if you're far enough underground, you don't die when the rain comes. You see the water level rise and then you drown.
Yep.
I was far enough underground
Yes.
once where I was like, I was almost completely in the dark, and I was like, oh shit, I should probably start heading back. And then it started rumbling, and all the lizards, you know, that were camouflaged and right, sprinted out of there, and I was like, oh well, shit, I'm gonna have no chance of finding my way out of here, do I?
Yeah, if you're high up in the elevation, like you see on the maps, it takes a lot long. Like you have a lot more time because the water starts at the very lowest level and rises up.
I don't know, but like if you're outside, like just like the downpour will kill you.
Oh yeah, hold that.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're like indoors and high up,
So where are you supposed to go then when the rain starts coming down?
You have to hibernate.
you have
Hibernate?
to go to safe zones.
So is that just like traveling downward?
It's
There's specific rooms you have to go into, and then
the shelters.
Yeah, the shelters.
Like
it has a
where-
little symbol of like
Those
a
are the only.
square.
Yeah, it's like an open top square.
Oh, okay.
I have to say,
You
with
come
the
out of
rain,
a
does it-
shelter. I'm pretty sure, right? When you start the game.
yeah.
Yeah, it forces you to go
No,
first.
But one of the coolest things about this
Oh, yeah.
discussion I've heard so far is like, so I have comparable playtime to, I believe, Noah and Allie, and then Marcus has or Marcus or Zach would be the next one there. But either way, all of us seem to have gone in different directions and kind of ended up in different places. Like I haven't ever been underground, like Marcus is saying.
I haven't even gone through a single karma gate because I haven't understood how those work.
Yeah, I didn't know they were called karma gates or anything like that, but I had been through some.
Yeah, I didn't know it was called Karma until I saw it online.
Like, I went to the very top left where I then found a tribe, which I guess I now know I think are the scavengers. But I didn't realize that, so I tried throwing a spear at one.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes,
I died real
bad
quick.
idea.
Real quick.
Yeah, how do you
Yes.
actually get along with the scavengers? You were mentioning before that you had a bunch of them following you, Mitch.
So I don't know if you've ever found the little pearls. There's
They're
like silver gray pearls throughout the game.
Colored stones, pretty much, right? Or
Sorry, can you say that again?
are they like little colored stones, or
Yeah, those are
Yeah,
pearls.
they're like little like colored spheres. They're most of them by default. There's a ton of gray and silver ones. There are colored ones that are of multicolored purposes.
some are
They have
used
a
for
purpose
quests.
that you can. Yeah, but by default, giving pearls to scavengers ups your karma with them, like a separate karma system. Just I don't know. I'm just it's the word that would work with them.
reputation?
But you get your reputation. Yeah, that works better. A scavenger, a pearl, your reputation with them goes up, and as you give them more and more pearls, you unlock an achievement think it's called leadership or something.
Chieftain, I believe.
I don't remember exactly.
Where you get accepted.
Yeah, once you get the chieftain achievement, pretty much all scavengers in the game will treat you as an ally. You can still fuck it up and like into them or like do stuff that they don't like and then they'll attack you. But once you've gotten the chieftain achievement on your side, and that makes the game a lot easier because then they're not iffy. Because when you're first working your way through areas, they kill you on sight.
Right.
Because they don't trust you, and that's really frustrating in the beginning of the game. Also, there's checkpoints. I don't.
Wait.
Noah was talking about checkpoint.
Wait, I wanna
Yeah.
go off adjacent to that. Just like you can be friends with the scavengers, you can tame other creatures. So you can tame the lizards.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, you can tame lizards.
It's
I've
super
never
hard.
done it.
It's not worth it.
Yes.
You basically have to like capture the flying bugs, Noah.
Toy ones?
The
Those,
squid
there's different kinds.
Okay.
And yeah, the squids. Or wait, is it only squids? The squid
No,
cata.
you can do squids or the squid cata.
Wait, I thought squid cata was the squids.
Like the flying squid. Then there's like the frog
Oh,
squid.
yeah, okay, yep, okay, yeah.
Do you think you
So-
could tame a vulture and then go fly around then?
I don't think you can.
I doubt it. I really don't think so.
That's
But yeah,
unfortunate.
basically you grab one of those
Um,
things and you throw it to the lizard and it eats it, but you have to do like a couple times, which is stupid.
Follow it too. It's like if you give it food, you have to follow it until it goes into its little chamber to eat it. Because like the lizards won't eat their food in front of you; they only eat it off screen.
Really?
So you have to keep following it until it goes into one of its chambers to go eat, and then comes back up, and then it will follow you around. And then if you go rest with you, and then it'll be your partner until it dies.
Dope.
Huh.
I have never successfully done it.
I never even tried because I'm like, fuck this. I have to like go through multiple, like, I have to keep track of the fucking lizard too, and make sure I don't feed it to a different one or some shit.
I'm definitely
But
going to play
those
this
lizards will
more
like
after
defend
this.
you and stuff, though.
Yeah, but I rather just kill shit.
Yeah. But as for the scavengers, so there's checkpoints, which was what Noah was talking about. Because I think in the far left of outskirts is the first checkpoint I came across. Same thing happened to me the first time I went to the checkpoint. I got murdered. But when you get to a checkpoint like that, there's almost always a reindeer skull,
Yeah.
which I doubt anyone here I don't think anyone's seen a reindeer other than maybe.
I haven't seen a reindeer.
They're
haven't.
called.
Or have I?
Fuck, I forgot. It's rabbit something.
Yeah, but they look kind of like weird reindeer. They have big. Oh, but so
It's a
you'll
rabbit
find-
body with huge antlers and then really long, thin legs.
Okay.
Yeah. But so you'll find scavengers with these big skulls with antlers on them, and they're just draped in pearls. And then there's usually like
Sorry.
scavengers underneath it. And so the way to pass those is to give them a pearl. And if you give them a pearl, they'll let you through their checkpoint, and then you can go past them onto the next area. But if you don't give them a pearl, or you seem aggressive at all, they will just throw spears at you and kill you as fast as possible.
Yep.
So how do you give the pearl to scavengers? Do you just throw it? No.
Yes, you can just throw it. That's fine.
Unless you hit them.
But this
Yeah.
is,
That's what I was worried about.
You can set things
I've
down.
hit,
You hold
I didn't
down.
find out that you could set things down until 40 hours into the game.
Right, I had no idea about this.
You hold down and then press X.
Interesting.
Then you'll drop.
All
it.
right.
Do you have to like back
Um,
away and then they come and pick it up then, or what?
Right towards, but yeah, back a little bit away. Also, if you don't have a pearl, make sure you're not holding a spear or crouch down. Because if you have a spear out or you're standing up and like in their way, you'll seem threatening to them. Down
Let's fucking fight you.
Yeah.
or like get rid of your spear, like drop your spear. Because if
Or
you
if you,
have a
like,
spear,
steal
in
their-
your
you can
hands,
steal
they
shit.
they will just attack you.
You can steal their weapons and stuff.
Or
But
fucking
that
kill
lowers
them.
your rep with them.
That makes a
They
lot more
kill you.
sense. Because the first scavenger I came across kind of just danced around me for a while. And then I picked up a spear and then he threw one at me and killed me. So, I'm assuming.
Yeah. He probably thought you were threatening him by picking up a spear.
All right.
So
yeah.
especially in the very early game, they don't really know what you are, and they're way more cautious. But you can also trade items. So when you give scavengers of pearl, they'll drop the items they're holding. So that's how you can get special items like glowstones and bombs and bomb spears, flashbangs. I don't know. There's a few other items too, but those are the ones I think of right away.
One thing I wanted to talk about before I forget. So I came across a yellow flower that made it so that I wouldn't lose karma the next time I died.
Oh,
Was there any other flowers or anything like that in the game?
Nope.
Just that one.
Nope, that's just those. It's just those.
I mean, there's those flowers that if you eat them, they slow down time.
Oh, the
I've
mushroom.
never understood a
Oh, yeah,
purpose
the
for that.
mushroom.
If you eat, I believe it's 3.
So the mushrooms?
You talk, Mark.
If you eat 3 of them, it slows down time.
You can eat one and it slows down time.
Oh, there's only one.
Is it just one?
Maybe it's a different type of mushroom. I don't know. There's a
This
couple.
So from experimenting with mushrooms, the best thing they're for, they're super useful in combat because you move faster than everyone else when time is slowed down.
Okay.
I never tested it around enemies or shit.
So like if
You also
you're
turn the world into a kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck that. It's annoying.
so if like you're fighting a lizard, I would often do is keep one mushroom on me, eat the mushroom as soon as the lizard's coming into combat, and then you move faster than they do, but everything goes slower so you can react faster, and then you just like spear the crap out of that slow-mo because he can't react at all because he's going so slow. Moving slow too, but you can react much quicker, faster. Also, you jump higher when you're eating mushrooms. So if you can't make certain jumps, you can use it to jump higher. Because time is moving slower, your breath lasts longer while you're swimming underwater.
Oh.
Okay.
So mushrooms actually have a lot of purposes, but they're all very minute.
All right. So we've been talking for over an hour, I believe now. One more thing I wanted to bring up was the soundtrack. Is there any particular feelings you guys had on that?
I like it.
I love the music. I think it has a really strong ambience. I love the ambience, and it fits the world really well. It has like an ominous, otherworldly feeling. There are definitely certain tracks that are way better than others. And there's certain music that has come up that I was like, this is really, really weird about this.
Yeah.
All the songs I've listened to and the areas I've made it to seem to fit. They were very appropriate and made me feel like I was actually there. So yeah, I think it did its job pretty well.
Now, for me, I only ever realized, well, the soundtrack only ever played from what I remember, either when I entered a new zone or when there was enemies nearby. Is that the case throughout the entire game, or?
Yeah,
I mean, a lot
I
of
thought
this-
it was pretty random.
I think the first time you get into a new zone, it generally will play the soundtrack, but it also seems like there are some songs that will just play kind of randomly.
Yeah.
Combat, especially depending on what creature in combat with, different music will play. And I like that the music will start playing before you even know there's a creature there.
So,
Yeah. I actually loved the fact that they didn't play music very often. I loved it when there was nothing.
Yeah.
I
All
guess
the
that's what I
sounds.
mean.
I think that really
What I was calling a soundtrack was more of the ambient sounds, and the ambient sounds really worked. Like they weren't too loud and they weren't too tied to like specific things in the environment. It was just more of a general background. That's what I meant, I guess.
On the topic of like sounds and everything, one thing I found kind of irritating is, so with enemies like the lizards and the vultures and whatnot, they don't really have eyes or anything that you could assume that they'd look with. So you can't really tell their line of sight too much. And then on top of that, the slug cat's movement doesn't make much sound from what I could hear. So when I was detected, I never knew how it was happening or whether I could have like walked slowly or crouched down to stealth. Like I never knew the ranges of the enemies that I needed to avoid, you know?
Yeah, this game had a real poor feedback. There's a lot of times where I'm like, what am I supposed to do? How did that happen? Or something. It's just there's not enough like key animations or something to say like this happened because this.
Yeah. Like on the topic of vultures again, the soundtrack is literally the only thing I could use to get away from them. They would swoop down.
because you know they're right away.
Right. You don't see them until like they broach the top of the screen, and then by that point they just swoop down within like 4 to 5 seconds if you're not undercover or anything, and pick you up and you're done.
Yeah.
So
That also seems pretty random because I've had lots of times where I hear the music way beforehand, and other times where there's no music.
Has there been? I meant to ask this when we were talking about the enemies too. Was there any specific difference in colors? So like, I noticed that there is some red vultures and blue vultures, and there's also red lizards and blue lizards. So is there a common gameplay factor associated with each color, regardless of the enemy, or?
Well, if you remember us talking
I-
about the white lizards and the blue ones could climb on the background, and the white lizards also have way the fuck longer tongues. And I also think like some are just take more hits of spears to kill.
Yeah, I think he means do any of those color variations and the traits that are associated with them carry over to other enemy types. So like, are the blue vultures able to just ignore landscape and swoop down and grab you? Or
From my
like,
experience, no, there's not any attachment from like lizard colors to other kinds.
Because
So-
there's
One
only
thing I did want.
I think those two are the only ones that come in different colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's possible then that the different colors of vultures can take different amounts of damage, but we don't know because we haven't killed them
Right.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah.
and I didn't
One
notice
thing-
any other thing that's different.
One thing I wanted to mention about lizards that I found out, as I played over time, it's been really interesting. Well, one that you guys might know is that the different colors, obviously, they affect different things. But like, so green versus pink, some are more attuned to sound than others, and some have better vision than others. I think it's the pink have really good hearing. So if you move like at all, they just get on you right away. But the green ones and the yellow green ones, it's deaf. So if you're moving slowly, they won't hear you. Also, there are later parts in the game where you find lizards that are blind, and they have feelers on the front of their mouth, on the front of them. So if you touch their feelers, they will know you're there. But they have really sensitive hearing.
Yeah,
At all, they'll know you there, and they'll come towards you really quickly, but they can't see you until they get close enough to touch you with the feelers.
Interesting.
But the last thing I want to mention with them is so lizards' health, as they are, can be immediately determined based on how much extra add-ons they have. So some of the green lizards have spines, and then like blue ones have like weird like floppy tentacles, and then later in the game you can find some orange have like really long. And however long they are or however many they have determines how strong they are and how much health they have killed.
Interesting. That's useful to
And
us.
Good to know.
and also the size too. So like if you find like a smaller green lizard, they have less health than like a really large green lizard.
I suppose that's fairly.
So they're things, but they're things that help you determine like if it's worth like getting involved with a lizard of some sort.
Yeah.
Mitch,
I
have
don't-
you seen the Leviathan?
Yeah, I was actually just gonna bring that up because I'm guessing no one else has gotten far enough to see that. But the Leviathan sucks.
I have.
Is
Oh,
that
oh,
the
bro,
thing
okay.
at the shoreline that's like the huge underwater thing?
I just linked it in our chat.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times.
Yes.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I've never
Oh,
actually been attacked by it. I think it was always going after like something else near me.
So it was linked in the Discord.
So
Facebook.
yeah, it's a GIF.
And it's always
Oh, wait,
been
what the hell? That's a
underwater.
lot.
Yeah.
So
Jesus.
that's what my experience with the Leviathan. I'm pretty sure it's a machine like noises,
Mhm.
but at the
God.
same time, Nick, did you finish the game?
No, I gave up because the rabbit walkers are the most broken thing in the game.
The
I want
rabbit
to.
walking fuckers are. It took me so long to get past those things. But so since no one else has played the game, it won't matter as much. But there are giant worms at the very end of the game. They resemble a look that resembles very much of the Leviathan, instead of this being like mechatronic.
Interesting.
Guardians? Are they called guardians?
Maybe.
It says guardians are creatures. Maybe they are machines. They can only be found in the depths.
Yes, so maybe they're the same thing. So I was thinking, based on that, maybe the Leviathan is another version of the Guardians at the end of the game. That's
Yeah,
hard to know for sure.
probably. Since we're talking about
Um,
creatures and shit, can we talk about this fucked up physics system?
Sure.
Sure.
What do you have in mind about it?
I feel it's way too physics based because there's been times where creatures have been stuck on shit and then they just like rattle and make a fuck ton of noise and just shake in place and it just like kills the immersion. I've also had it where they've glitched out in a hole, so I could not get past it and not get past that area because they blocked
I've had
the
that as
hole.
well.
I haven't had any of the experiences. Well, okay, I did have lizards that freaked out, like you were talking about. They didn't rattle, thankfully, but
Oh, where they like start spinning in place?
Yeah, and you just hear.
I've definitely seen them spin in place a few times. I personally really like the physics system. I think even though with the small bugs it has, I think it makes the game way more interesting overall.
it's definitely very unique. And
I'm
think-
just saying. Sorry,
No,
Josh.
Isn't it a byproduct of the procedural animation?
I just think they should tone it down
Yeah.
a tad.
you're
Like
probably
I loved it because it made them feel so alive. They actually felt like creatures.
Yeah,
I think that's one thing-
every creature in this game
I
feels
think all of
different,
the
and it
AI.
feels like a world that you're living in.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
feels-
they definitely feel
that's
more
one of
like
the
living creatures
big upside.
instead of programmed AI. You can definitely see the downfalls in certain circumstances where something will happen, but in general, all the creatures act very unique, and they don't ever really seem to do exactly the same thing over and over again. Like when you're going back to the same place, they will do slightly different things. And I definitely feel like they did a very successful job of a really living world where all of the creatures throughout the game all react to you and react to each other.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if anyone saw this, but sometimes you'll see bats start to like form chains, and
Yep.
they'll all like
I've never seen that.
sit on top of each other, and they'll make really long chains of bats hanging down.
Hmm.
And
then when
I'm
you grab
guessing,
Huge flock. It's pretty cool.
yeah, they'll just all go flying everywhere. But then when they do that, it makes it really easy to grab too, like
Yep.
quickly to get food.
Has anybody else gotten to encountered the leeches?
Yes.
Oh, fuck the leeches! Fuck the leeches!
Yeah,
Basically, you need one of those squid guys to just zoom past.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just cheesed it with enough tries, and that's how I got stuck in the area that I'm in.
Oh, that brings up a
Seems
question
to be
I was
right.
going to ask you before. Where are you stuck?
I'm stuck.
He went to the filtration system
I'm in the filtration system.
at the
yeah.
very start.
Yeah, that's the second. I went to the drainage system or whatever, then the filtration system. Or
Okay,
Yeah.
the filtration
He went,
system.
he went to the end game.
Yeah, that's like that's the last area of the game prior to the
yeah, but I
depths.
didn't know that because like I would have assumed it just wouldn't
No,
let
I
me
know.
go there at all if I couldn't. If I
part of the
wasn't supposed to go there. I know, but that's stupid.
On my ended
That's
up
fucking
in the
stupid.
depths on accident.
To be
looking
fair,
where
Mark,
else.
you did need Karma 5 to get down there.
Yeah,
I also
So-
needed
You
Karma
don't need
5 to
Karma
get
5.
into the drainage system,
I went
and
through like
that
4 gates.
was a struggle fest.
Because I died a whole bunch, and then it was like one long run where I was like, I just like hurl my body across the map, and I'd eventually be like, oh, I've got like five circles left. I better get some food. So I'd eat food, and then it was like, oh look, hibernation spot. So I do that, and I randomly somehow got there, and I died a whole bunch at the start, and then I somehow magically got enough food because some of the plants grow back after a few nights.
You shouldn't necessarily have a problem in the filtration system because it shouldn't flood.
What do you mean it
Well,
should-
he can't progress any further because he needs the level 10 or whatever to get to the depths.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
a
he
bunch
hasn't
of
gone
that
through
and
anything
can't go
else.
any further.
No, you can get out of the filtration system and get back up into
If I
what's it called?
backtrack, but if I
Yeah,
if I
he's
try
just
to-
saying he was trying to progress forward because
I didn't know
To stop progressing forward.
Yeah,
There's
but I
no
didn't-
reason to progress forward.
No, but I had no idea. I had no way of knowing that I couldn't progress forward. I was just assuming that I was always picking the wrong way. So I was like, I'd keep trying to progress, and it was like, oh, because yeah, even though I'm only this far in the game, I don't have the little worm guy. I don't have paperclip, and yeah, I had no idea what the hell I was supposed to do. So I kept trying to make it through, and I kept being eaten in the dark. And yeah,
So what you need to do is you need to go up to subterranean and then go right
yeah.
in
No,
the
no,
subterranean and then
sure,
get to
it's
shoreline.
fine, but that I don't need you to tell me what I have to do. It's just the game didn't give me any hint at that, which is the ongoing problem. And that's, I don't want to be told by someone else. I'd rather just figure it out. But that's the issue. Is that like it's way too fucking easy to screw yourself over. And yeah, I can backtrack, and now I know I would have to backtrack, which I wouldn't do, honestly. I'd just restart because of how much food I've consumed from all the areas now, or from the
I would
first
say it's
few.
worth restarting the game because then you have to go re-explore everything again. You'll lose all your map data.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck the map data. I mean, I explore almost everything in like 2 lives, and you like in a single area, you can throw yourself about pretty quick if you don't play cautiously, which I don't. I don't like playing cautiously.
Well, I guess it depends on what system. If you've only been to outskirts, drainage system, and filtration system, then those places are much smaller. Places like the shoreline, garbage waste, it will take you forever to explore the whole thing. Yeah. Let me see. So I was going to talk about the tadpole frogs because I really like. Well, in general, I really like the non-aggressive AI.
I love
that have purposes.
Yeah, like there's areas where you have to use them, otherwise you can't get there.
Yes. Like the tadpole frog. You need the tadpole frog. Like there are places where it's required in shoreline to use the tadpole frog. You cannot make it yourself.
Yeah, and also like on the map
then
that you linked, it also says like to get to the wall and the underhand you need a grapple worm.
Yeah, you can't do the wall without a grapple worm. Or like don't you get a grapple worm in the leg too?
Yeah.
I love
I don't think maybe. I don't know.
I love the grapple worms though. The grapple worms are honestly my favorite
took me forever
like useful AI. Oh, they're really hard to figure out how to use, but once you get a hang of them, like then they're super fun because like you really quickly with the grapple worm.
Yeah.
I feel like there's.
So for those who don't know, grapple worm is a worm you pick up. You find them in the map, and they have like tongues, I guess, that they shoot out in both directions, and they just like inch along their. I don't know what else to call it? You can grab their tongue, like grab them, and then you can like shoot their tongue out. Like a swing back and forth with it, and then like release their tongue, and then shoot it out again.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, basically.
That's cool.
It's really fun to use.
It took me forever.
But it's hard to get used to.
Yeah.
The squid cages are also something like super useful. Like if you pick them up, you can jump higher and make bigger jumps.
You need them to get to, I think, communications array.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say is that I plan on leaving within the next 20 minutes. So if there's anything else you wanted to say while everybody was here. We should probably start looking into those other things.
I'm looking through my notes.
Maybe you could put some input on this. But basically following along like creatures uses, I also love that you have to use the spear sometimes to like get on higher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just figured that out. So for the longest time, I had thrown spears and been like, why can't I pick it up after it's in a wall? And then I was like, just recently, I figured out I could use it as a ledge, and I was like, this probably opens up so many different possibilities. And it's just unreal.
Yep.
Makes it so you can do things that they try to make so you can't do in a certain order. So you can. There are certain spots where they make it so you can only come from the other direction. But if you use enough spears or you're patient enough, you can force your way through because you can spear the walls and climb up them. I really like that added feature of just being able to use the spears to climb allows you to have a lot of control over where you want to go in the game.
Yeah.
And then you get trapped in a dead end. Like me.
Oh, I got trapped. I thought I was trapped in a dead end, and I actually had to post on forums because I was stuck there for 3 days straight, and I was considering quitting the game. So I was dumb, and I went from the filtration system up into the drainage system. Bad idea. Horrible, horrible, horrible idea. Because if you go from the filtration system into the drainage system, you can't backtrack. Because the karma level's too high and there's no food.
Yeah.
And then once you're in the drainage system, there's only one way to go, which requires swimming. But swimming is not taught in this game. And so I didn't know you could even swim at all better than just pressing A to like boost swim in this game.
The boost swim takes a lot of oxygen though.
Boost swimming, you use tons of oxygen so you drown faster. So what you have to do is you have to like wiggle your stick to wiggle the slugcat's body so that you swim faster.
Also, something that I
not
actually
explained at all.
saw on the wiki is that it only uses oxygen when you are pushing in a direction. So sometimes you just want to not push in a direction and just let yourself coast.
Oh, what the fuck?
I did not know that. What?
The swimming mechanics were
According to the wiki.
Yeah, the swimming mechanics suck. Like, garbage.
I think it's all right, but like other stuff in the game, it takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah, I love this game so much, but it can be so frustrating because they don't explain the littlest of things.
So we all think it would benefit from a better tutorial then, right?
Yes.
or at least
slightly
even
more
a page
explanation.
that explains a bunch of this. Like that would be enough for me, just bare minimum, like just something.
Or like having the paperclip tell
Really
you
option
certain time intervals instead of like specific locations. Because like it is very open world, so if you don't go the right way, you aren't getting that
Yeah.
like, information.
So I mean, I guess if they wanted to force it, yeah, a longer linear tutorial that forces you to learn a lot more.
At the very least, like I always found it helpful, even though it wasn't very intuitive. You know the crouch jump or whatever, where it allows you to go past like gaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that that's pretty much mandatory, I believe, to get from the outskirts to anywhere. The fact that you had to go through that part once was enough to have me continue trying to figure it out, and I eventually got the hang of it. It took me far longer than I'd like to admit, but either way, like if they had just those one-off scenarios, that would be enough for me to realize what I needed to do, I think.
I think the problem is they have pretty much almost every scenario you need exists, but they're in this very specific line of things that you only do if you follow the paperclip exactly as he wants you to
Right.
go.
So I guess what I meant is like on the mandatory
Oh, yeah.
path through the outskirts.
They need to make it so that every path you go that requires one of those things that teaches it to you, instead of it only being taught to you on that one specific path.
Right.
Dude, I forgot about like the throwing the spears in the wall and climbing to get higher places like constantly. I'm like, how the fuck do I get up there? And then finally, like, oh shit, spears.
There is-
Zach.
Yeah, there is one specific part in the garbage wastes, kind of near the scavenger merchant, where it actually says, well, the paperclip guy is like, you need spears to get past this point, and you do.
Yeah,
And there's always
I've never
like
even
3 to 4
encountered that
spears
spot.
that spawn right there.
So it sounds like everybody's at least made it to. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. Allie, have you made it out of the outskirts, or have
Well,
you?
if she didn't know what a karma gate was, then she would not have been able to get out of outskirts.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just looking at the map that was linked on our chat. So everybody's at least made it to a second or third area, correct?
Nope.
not Noah.
You haven't?
Everybody else.
I didn't
No
know how
one else.
gates worked, so I never
Right.
made it very far.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I can say myself, I went to Industrial Complex right away, and then I made it to Shaded Citadel and promptly died there.
Yeah, that's the path I took.
That's the way I went to. My first character, I went outskirts, industrial complex, shaded citadel, memory crypts, back, and then over to shoreline.
I went through the drainage system. That was fucking shitty.
Funny you say that.
Sucks.
Bell drainage. You know?
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I heard Mitch and Nick talking about it, and it was bad, but I got really super lucky because the room that's full of there's a bunch of bats and there's all the water, and there were like 3 red lizards just on the floor, like in deep water. I fell down there so many times, and none of them ever grabbed me. They came really close, but they never
Wow,
did.
we got lucky.
Yeah. And I died from other things later. Like there was a right before the room on the to the east of that room, a few where there's the hibernation spot, the safe room. There was a camo lizard hiding by it. So like as I'd walk up to it, he'd just instantly kill me. He got me twice. Was once on the right side, and then when I was wary of him, I came through the gate, didn't see him, and he was like right above me. I was like, damn it, because that was I had to go past a karma gate to get there, and then I went through all those rooms and then die right there. I hate the water areas of this game.
Oh, the water areas are some of the most frustrating. That's for sure.
Zero gravity.
Oh yeah. Before we get to the zero gravity part, I want to bring, because I want to go through this in order slightly. I wanted to bring up who all made it to Looks to the Moon.
I
Me.
did not.
I think it's just me.
I know me and
Yeah, I didn't make it there.
did Zach? Did you make it to that? Because if you're at Shoreline, you're really close.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to that spot, but I haven't quite made it yet.
Okay. Well, does anyone care about spoilers? Because I'm sure me and Nick want to talk about Five Pebbles and Looks to the Moon.
I think I care about spoilers. This is a game that
I feel like
think
now
I'd
that
really
I know
enjoy
a
it.
bit more-
I can't play it in a few sittings. I need to play it over a
Okay.
much longer period of time. But
I'm like now that I know how some things work, I think I definitely can get into this game a bit more.
I would
Right.
say like don't frustrate yourself and like just look up the maps or something.
I would say if you need to look it up, like the map I sent with like all the sections combined, don't be afraid to use that. Like you really need to know how stuff connects sometimes in order to figure out where you're going.
Yeah. Then I guess up to you if you really want to see it more in detail.
All right. So I had two more questions I wanted to ask before I left. So I'm going to ask one of them now. So this is kind of crude, I guess, but if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, now that we've talked about all this stuff and gotten feedback and everything, what would you say your rating would be?
Let's go one at a time, just across. Let's start with.
Are we going with, like, we're going to say 5's average, right?
Yeah. Like
5 is an average game. We're gonna
possible.
use the actual scale. Don't just say 7 bad.
Right.
7's average. Okay.
7 is not average. 5 is average.
Perfect score.
All right. So Allie, if you wanted to start right away.
Sure. I would probably give it like a 2 or a 3.
All right. And I think you've already said. Well, do you have anything to expand on for why that would be the case?
I don't really think it was the kind of game that I normally enjoy, and so I don't think I could really get into it, especially because I think some of the aspects are very elementary, and I just think it needs more work to be a better game.
All right, then Marcus, how about you?
I might have to give it. I mean, with where I'm currently at, I may have to give it like a 6, because there are a lot of things that are really interesting about it. And I really want to keep playing it, and I want to like this game, but there's so much that just pisses me off and makes me want to stop playing.
Right.
And it's really shooting itself in the foot in so many ways. I don't know. Maybe it has to even be closer to a 5, because it almost it balances itself back out. But I don't know. It's interesting. So,
how about you then, Mitch?
This is hard because like I want to give it a really good score because I really love the game and I've put a ton of time into it. But at the same time, there are things that really bother me.
Right, and
Like-
I mean, it's on the spot too. There wasn't a lot of time to think about
I
your
know.
rating, so.
I'm gonna give it an 8.5 because I think overall my experience has been really good. I finished the game. I've put in almost 80 hours into it, and I've experienced all the way through, with the exception of certain times in certain areas, or died so many times that I just quit the game for a few days.
Okay.
But I think overall 8.5.
Okay. Nick, how about you?
I would give it 5.5. I think the game's pretty unique, but I think there's a lot of faults and really questionable game design choices that really bring it down for being like as much potential as it could have been.
Right. I kind of feel the same way myself. Noah, how did you feel about this?
I mean, with how far I've gotten and everything, I'd probably give it like a 3 or a 4. But I feel like now that I know how the karma gates work and stuff, and I can actually like progress, I feel like it could go up for me.
Yeah, by all means. And then Zach, did you have anything to add?
I don't really. I think scale from 1 to 10 is kind of weird for this game because this game definitely seems like the kind of game that's difficult to get into, but very rewarding with if you stick with it. And I don't think I've gotten to that point yet. This game did have one of the most frustrating moments out of any game I've ever played. It was this one spot in the drainage system where you had to like wall jump up this very difficult spot and then make a very difficult jump. And I probably spent 2 hours trying to get through that. And it was the closest I think I've ever been to putting my controller through my screen. But
There's been a few times, with as much as I love this game, that I was really close to throwing my controller.
like I think at this point my rating is 6 out of 10 probably, but I can imagine it going higher. I think this is a pretty unique game. I haven't played too many games like it, and I think it is worthwhile if you're willing to put in the time and the energy.
It's definitely a game that has a very steep learning curve.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's for sure.
So I want to amend mine a little bit based on what Zach said. Even though I gave it what I would consider a bad score, I would still recommend people try it because there's so much interesting stuff in this game. Like, I see what you mean though. That the rating almost doesn't work for this game. Like, it is full of flaws and issues that are super frustrating and aggravating, but I think I'd still play it. I'd probably buy it again if I had to, just because I there's so much cool stuff in it.
Like I said, it's
I
improved
know
like your enjoyment of the game overall.
it's definitely it's hard to measure this through like a 10 system.
It's a lot.
But like I said, like Marcus said, like if I had just played the Outskirts was enough for me to realize like I love the idea of this game. Like the world's really interesting, the AR really is really interesting. I like it. If the whole game was just Outskirts and that was it, I probably would still buy the game again.
Oh, I haven't gotten to say my score yet. I would say for myself that I would rate it at, well, before this discussion, I would have said a 7 out of 10. There was definitely plenty of moments where I found myself yelling at the computer because, bullshit vultures and all that stuff. But after going through everything here tonight, I would probably say a 6 out of 10. There's areas such as the drainage ditch or whatever that is and garbage waste where I haven't gone through yet. And from what you guys have been saying, it's kind of enough to make me dread going through those.
There's worse.
It's not as bad as I make it
There's
seem.
worse places.
If you know how to wall jump, you know the mechanics, it's fine.
Have fun with the wall.
I think
memory crypt.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
my opinion.
Memory Crypt sucks because you can't see anything.
Yeah. And kind of like what you guys were saying previously too, 1 to 10 scale really doesn't do a lot of games justice. In the end, all it can be is a feeling that we have of the game after the fact. There's still plenty of those experiences and revelations that I had in the game where I felt like, this is totally worth doing, and I loved going through this part. And I wanted to say part of the reason I would have given it a 7 out of 10 initially is because I always find myself liking games that don't have a blatant story overarching throughout the game. The kind of things where you have to infer what they're trying to tell you yourself are more my speed. So this kind of fed that itch for me a little bit.
I think you're speaking too soon for that.
Yeah. Like I said, yeah, it's just
Mitch, do you even know the fucking story? You beat the game. I'm nearly done with the game. I have no idea what the fuck the story is.
I spoiled myself for the story a little bit.
I wouldn't even be able to tell you the start of it.
The end is interesting because there's 2 or 3 different endings.
Don't actually
based on the order you do things. I'm not going to. I gotta say though, confused. I don't think it was a very satisfactory end. But I liked visually. I think the gameplay part of the end and the visual part of the end, like what you do, is really cool and really interesting and very beautiful. Like, wait, that's it? But like up to the very end, like up to the point where the game actually ends, the end is really cool. I think
I should
the thing I'd say
what I said. I guess I should say after we talked about it, that it seems like it may feed that itch that I was talking about. Like with particularly the part with like the goddesses and everything, those hidden elements that you can find if you have appropriate karma and whatnot. That intrigues me to the point that I think it would be something that
help.
Yeah, but I mean it's like a secret thing, and I
guess, yeah.
Oh, there's still like I want to play through more because of the fact that I recently found out. So the pearls that you have, the colored pearls that you find, if you bring them to a certain person in the game, every colored pearl gives more lore to the whole.
And
each colored pearl has a very specific different portion of lore, and there's like a ton of different pearls that you find throughout the game that are in very specific spots. So you have to find them and then also bring them back to a certain person to get the lore. And I really want to go through and play again all of the lore from that.
I think after we've drawn that out the rating, should we go back through that then instead and say like whether or not you would actually recommend this to the average person, the average like
I think that's a good
someone who hasn't played it? Because like I think a lot of my friends wouldn't enjoy this game at all, but it's interesting enough. So like I think a lot of you guys, a lot of people that are interested in game design would find this very fascinating. But my average friends would probably like this.
I'm kind of thinking of one thing we probably should have said at the beginning. We are all game design students. Like we've all graduated with game design degrees.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yep.
just the background
That's
for
worth
what-
establishing.
That's definitely worth a saying.
Humble
Yeah.
brag, but
Otherwise,
bachelor's degree.
on the topic of whether you'd suggest it to your friends, I would also like to add the question of would you play this game again now that we've finished talking about it? Like, do you plan to go on and play it again?
I definitely plan on playing it again now that I understand how karma gates work, so I can actually progress somewhere and not just stay in the outskirts.
I plan on playing it again now that I know that there's an actual order of areas you have to go through, and I might look that up just so I don't want to die.
I would say I don't even know if I'm gonna plan on finishing it. I don't want to play it again, really.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I will play it again.
Then Mitch and Zach, I believe you too.
I am already looking forward to playing through my second playthrough, and I would definitely recommend this to other people.
I imagine I will keep playing. At least, like, there's a part that I know I'm pretty close to that's kind of story based, and I'm at least playing till there. I'm not 100% sure if I'll finish the game, but I definitely want to play it more, explore some of the other areas that I haven't gotten to. Yeah, I kind of just want to explore the world more and see what's going on. So I imagine I would play a bit more.
I think my goal is to at least get 2 looks to the moon before I decide whether to keep playing or not.
It definitely sounds like an awesome zone to go check out. I think for myself, I will probably play this game again. Whether I'd suggest it to friends or not, well, my group of friends wouldn't be interested in this game. I can say that right off the bat. Some of them maybe. I would suggest it to the ones that I think would be willing to play it.
All right.
So,
I think this is
on
a good
that-
place to end.
yeah, on that note, I think
Or
Wait,
at
before
least
we
all
end,
of us that
I do
don't
want
want
to
the
talk
spoilers. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I do
everyone.
want to talk to Nick about some things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys are gonna head on to spoilers,
Yep.
I'm probably gonna back out.
Same.
Okay. One more thing to say before we end the podcast. We are planning on choosing a new game to play for next month, and then we will be doing another podcast.
And
Right.
voting for that starts tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I'll be making a post after this this podcast.
Wait, tomorrow? Or I thought the
I mean,
voting was Wednesday.
voting
or
starts
whatever.
tomorrow. I'm gonna.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a post.
So we will likely be talking about this stuff again. If you were interested in this, then just tune in again, I guess.
Yeah.
I think what I was planning on doing is actually making like a second channel, like an actual, hey, we're gonna play and talk about video games. This is what this channel is about, not just my personal bullshit channel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That'd be cool.
Well, before everyone leaves, there's one more creature that I think a lot of you have encountered that I want to talk about,
Oh boy.
which is the centipede. Who has all encountered
I don't-
centipedes?
That's pretty later.
They're
Yeah, I don't
orange.
think so.
Well,
I know there's like that. Like I know. I don't think I've encountered centipede, but I know there's like one vine kind of thing that like turns into a worm that eats you,
Oh,
which is super annoying.
I hate those vines.
Yep. Also, there's
Oh, I love those things.
it's not really an
I love
enemy.
luring
but there's,
lizards
like,
into them.
It's not an enemy, but it's like glowing grass kind of stuff that like slows you down, and if it stops you, you just like can't move and you die.
Yep.
That stuff's
They,
annoying
like, stuff you
too.
into the ground.
Yep.
There's an area where you can bypass that by using the deer guys, which was the part. This is the exact.
I mean,
part-
I found like a little like clump of it in the outskirts.
Yeah, they'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
But so, Zach or Marcus, have neither of you guys seen him? I feel like Marcus would have seen him.
No, I've not.
The way the director.
I haven't.
So surprised that no one's seen the centipedes because they're really frustrating sometimes. Like
I think that
I mean,
could be
maybe
said.
I have.
really
Maybe
fast
I
moving.
And I got killed by lizards before I could get close. So
They're really
may
long
have.
centipede. They come in different sizes. So there's really big ones and then there's really small ones that you can eat as food. The big ones, if they pick you up or get close to you, they shock you and they kill you in one hit with a shock.
yeah, I haven't seen any. Of
The
those
little ones you can eat as food, but they can shock you and then they just knock you out to run away.
And they give you two sources of food.
Yet. 2 sources of food instead of 1. So they're super good for food. But the big centipedes suck because they're really hard to kill. Like way harder to kill than lizards.
Oh, a tip too. I'm sure many people know this already, but for those that don't, you can bring fruit back to your shelter and save it till the next cycle. So that helps sometimes.
Yeah, and then those fruits that are dehydrated, you can swallow one of those and then save it for later, and then get it wet if you want to bring it with.
But otherwise, I'm going
Alright.
to leave the
If
podcast.
no one else says anything else,
Yep, I'm gonna leave
I just
before
want to make sure to
spoilers.
talk to Nick about some of those things.
Sure. Yeah, you guys have a good night. Then I will talk to you all later.
Later.
All right,
See
yeah.
ya.
Bye.
See you
Yeah,
guys.
I'm gonna head out too. So,
See
see you
ya.
guys.
See y'all.
Yep, and I'm heading out too.
Peace.
Bye.
Since
Just talk through. All right.
Well, I don't want to talk about
So-
further stuff. Is Zach still gonna play?
No, I'm fine with it.
Oh, you are? Okay.
So I think the two biggest things I want to talk about were Looks to the Moon and what happens after that, and then Five Pebbles, because both those things, most interesting story-wise, and also some of the, like, Five Pebbles is also one of the most frustrating areas, I think, of the entire game. By far.
So yeah, it took me forever to find Looks to the Moon because like I kept going in the general direction of Paperclip, but like he still like messed me up sometimes because he'd point in different directions.
Yeah, finding Looks to the Moon was really hard my first time. And the shoreline is super complicated and like set up since it's like the three different layers, but the ocean's on the top level, but then you have to like go underground in certain areas, then back up in other areas
Yeah.
to get to the ocean surface. And
Navigating that whole thing was a bitch.
shoreline is very hard to navigate, that's for sure. So I know you didn't fuck up your first time because I told you about it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah,
'cause-
I bet this is the place.
So when you get to Looks to the Moon, there's so Zach, you'll see this soon. When there's you find Moon, who is this like robot,
Yeah, hooked up to a
Thing.
giant arm thing.
like a robot arm. It's like a person hooked up on an arm. It's like a robot thing. And above are these things called neurons that look kind of like little jellyfish.
And you can
And
eat
when you
them,
pick,
get an achievement.
If you eat them,
yep, did you do that?
glows.
Or did you
No, I
just
haven't
look it up?
gotten there yet, but I
Okay.
read the achievement.
Yeah, if you eat it,
So
then
if
your
you-
character glows, but then you lose your paperclip guy that helps. Apparently, that
Yes.
paperclip guy is a part of
So
with Moon, I guess.
is it part of Moon? Is what that's what people are theorizing, is that the paperclip, the yellow paperclip, is part of Moon, or somehow is related to Moon,
Yeah.
and so then won't help you after you eat one of Moon's neurons. So by eating a neuron, though, you gain enlightenment of you now glow white, so you don't need lights anymore because you emit light. So it makes the
I've
game
never gotten
easier.
anywhere where it's dark.
You'll see, probably.
There are a lot of areas you'll need it, but Shaded Citadel, Memory Crypt, Filtration System, to name a few, where you really need lights. Memory Crypt, like if you don't have lights in Memory Crypt, you die instantly.
I didn't have lights, and I got.
Um,
That's where I gave up and just like looked up a map.
lighter things in Memory Crypt. But you also, if you eat a neuron, you can start seeing, I don't know if they're like kind of like eggs. They're like little circles that are like orange, kind of glowy. They're all throughout the game.
What?
Like little like worms inside of them. And when you touch them, they get released from the egg and they kind of just swim off screen. Do anything. Like it's just a thing that is spread throughout the game that you don't see again until you get to the depths. One of them in the depths, whether or not you've had a neuron. You eat a neuron at that point. Neurons and 5 pebbles.
Oh God.
This is where my first character, I ate a neuron on accident. And then once you eat a neuron, the paperclip doesn't help you. And that's when I started going way off track and ended up in the depths. And I went the completely wrong direction because I didn't know where I was going anymore. I was supposed to go up and head up to the lake, and then from there to Underhang and continue onward to 5 pebbles.
The fuck?
Pebbles, interesting.
I just
You
found
can
out
start with 5 pebbles.
the paperclip is apparently called the Yellow Overseer, and it's named Iggy.
Iggy?
Yeah,
Interesting.
IGGY.
The Yellow Overseer. So you want to talk about 5 pebbles?
Yeah, so 5 Pebbles is a area where it's 0 gravity. And you also meet a new type of creature, which is like an octopus. Fucking huge. and they are hunters. Like Jesus Christ, they will not let off. But yeah, basically in some areas the 0G will be off. Some other areas it will turn on and off after a certain period of time, and then there's other areas where it's like always 0G. I thought it was fun at first. I was like, cool, zipping around like 0G, but then I like really hated it because sometimes I like get knocked and I start going slow, and it just takes me a light year to get to a wall. So
I felt the same way when I first got into Five Pebbles. I was like, oh, this is really cool, zero gravity. This is so much fun, flinging yourself around and like moving around. And then as soon as you get to the place where the Daddy Longlegs plague is, that's when I was like, fuck zero gravity.
Yeah.
Because so there's a part of Five Pebbles where it's like the Daddy Longlegs are blue instead of the grayish green from like garbage
I
waste.
didn't realize those octopuses are called Daddy Longlegs. I thought they. Oh shit. When I first said Daddy Longlegs, deadly creatures, I thought I was like referring to the spiders.
Oh, which spider? The ones in the memory crypt?
Yeah. I didn't know Daddy Longlegs were these octopuses in Five Pebbles.
Oh.
Octopuses or something.
No, so those are like people call those the Daddy Longlegs, the weird octopus.
I'm looking at the list right now of all the creatures.
But so there's a section of Five Pebbles that is like overgrown. It looks like a plague is spreading throughout it, and like the Daddy Longlegs are growing out of the walls.
Yeah,
you don't need to touch the walls, so you float through the center. But if you touch the walls, they eat you instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what made Five Pebbles the most annoying fucking place of the entire game.
Yeah.
There's a segment.
Sorry, keep going.
All right, there's a segment where you have to go really far up before there's the next save point. In order to do that, you have to go through a ton of sections of Daddy Longlegs, but the gravity keeps turning on and off. And you have to time all your jumps, and you can't touch the walls or else you get eaten. And I remember spending 5 days there. And I just kept trying for like an hour every day and just getting so pissed off.
Yeah.
Because I kept dying over and over again. That was definitely the longest time frame of frustration I had ever had in this game.
Yeah.
And then once I finally made it past that part, it just got so much better. Because then they got the Daddy Longleg walls left, and it wasn't really that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah, that place was very frustrating. But the end was really cool. Like when you get to the room.
One of the coolest areas, like visually, and like the stuff that happens up there.
Yep.
Like I love all of the weird like living kind of that are like floating around like the station and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like all the neurons flying around and stuff.
Basically at the end of all the 0G shit, you reach to this giant ass room with like a smaller room in the middle. And you get to it and it's another sort of robot thing like the first guy you meet. And this is where you would actually see text dialogue unless you run into one of those other areas with a certain karma height. I think, right?
I think so.
Like, looks to the moon. Moon doesn't say anything, right?
I don't think Moon says anything.
You just see some pictures from the thing, and then you get, I don't know.
Yeah, and so this is like the same kind of guy that looks to the moon, but he's like fully active. Like, he's not damaged in the slightest.
He's like in the system to like can do shit, I think. But yeah, he tells you some shit. I totally forgot what he says.
I don't know, he starts talking to you a bunch. He like gives you the 5 extra karma levels, so you now have 10 karma levels. And like he like ascends you to a higher plane or something, so you can like now understand. For a while he's trying to like talk to you, but you can't. You're on different like levels of existence or like that. So he can't talk to you directly until he like elevates you or something. Is like kind of how I understand it. And then he talks to you a bunch about like how you're in this like loop or something. This loop, and you'll always keep returning here. I think it's something along those lines.
Does he tell you that he's
and then he kicks you out?
Does he tell you what?
That he's responsible for the rain?
The rain? No, he doesn't tell you he's responsible for the rain. But what you do find out after you leave is that you end up above the rain clouds. And you actually get to see the world above the rain clouds. And it's really cool.
Because I believe that guy, I think I read
in the
that he is actually responsible for the rain. Basically that he consumes so much water to like cool his machinery that it creates these huge rain clouds which cause the rain.
That's interesting. I haven't read much of the lore with the orbs yet, so that could totally be possible. It'd be interesting.
I should totally look the story up and YouTube some videos of people.
It does seem like a really
But when you
interesting, like not kind of just background story.
But you get up there. So after you talk to him, you have to like leave, and then you're up on top of like the world. Like you're the highest point that you can ever get to in the game. And the place you come out of is so dry because it doesn't rain up there that like you're walking across the ground. There's just dust flying everywhere, and it looks really cool. Like it's gorgeous up there. And then you slowly work your way down the wall and back through the rain clouds.
God, the wall. Hated that place.
The wall is frustrating.
It's like all vertical shit. It's all vertical. But there's like invisible lizards all over the place.
I have not actually encountered
there's
invisible lizards yet.
Oh, they're bitches.
Really? Never encountered any of the camouflage lizards?
No, maybe I just couldn't see them.
They have huge detection range. And their tongue. Oh.
The super long tongues that they
I've seen
shoot
the
across
ones
the map
like,
to grab
that
you.
shoot their tongues at you, and those guys are fucking annoying. But I've never seen ones that actually like camouflage themselves.
Yeah, they're the one with the huge, like, you know, Roadhog's hook, how fucking long that is?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like that. You think you're just far away enough, and then it still fucking gets you all the time.
when they get you with their tongue, that's when you got to turn around and spear them in the face.
Good luck doing that in a huge vertical area, because you're climbing rope mostly.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about in particular that we never brought up?
Nah, it's 10 right now, getting late, and
Wait, well, before I finish, do either of you guys want to know what the very end of the game, or do you guys not want to know?
I'm probably gonna look up a YouTube video, so you can tell me.
Yeah, you can tell me.
You go to the depths. Neither of you guys have been to the depths, right?
No.
So if you go to the depths before you have all the karma, there's these they're really fucking tall. They're like basically the whole height of the screen, and they have these tentacles, and there's this giant like spinning yellow clock mechanism over their head. There before you have high enough karma, they use telekinesis to just fucking whip you around like nothing and just slam you into the ground and kill you. But once you get to the point karma, you go into this chamber, and then you get 10 karma. The 10 karma symbol is the same symbol on all of these weird creatures, and they just ignore you. They just don't care.
Oh,
So you can just walk past them all, and there's like 8 or 9 or 10 of them.
Jesus.
There's like no way to get past them. Like you would not be able to get past them without having 10 karma because there's just too many.
No way to.
Like I made it past like 3 or 4 without like knowing what I was supposed to be doing down there. And then like there's a section where there's 2 of them in a row, and you can't really like fight 2 at once because they're kinesis and they just wreck you. But so you go through all these things. You're in like this deep like an underground temple, and then you fall in this big hole. And then as you're progressing, you start seeing all those little orange things I was talking about, the little orange creatures strewn throughout everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then the screen starts having some weird like glowiness on there, and then like slowly more and more the shaders across the screen get warped further and further, so it's really hard to see your character. One room where there's like a lake of gold. It's like a gold fucking lake.
What?
Screen is warped so much that you're like moving in slow-mo, and like you can barely see your character because you're like this warped, like I don't know, it's really hard the shaders are like just distorting the screen so much, and like the orange creatures are like flowing out of this thing all over the place. And so you like swim into this glowing pool, and it's so gorgeous. Like it just looks really cool. You're like swimming deep down into this pool, like light, like gold glow, and you keep going down. It turns into like a purple glow, and you keep going down, and it turns into like blackness. And when you're going down there, there's all of these massive worms swimming down there. I mean, like massive, massive. Like you are nothing in comparison to them, and they're just like swimming all over this place. And then you keep swimming down, and you finally pass all of the worms, and it's kind of quiet. It's just blackness, and you keep swimming down. And then one of the worms swims down to you, and like swims up next to you, and like looks at you, and like you can see his like a little face.
Uh-huh.
And then he like you have to like grab onto. He like shoots out something like a little tentacle and like grabs you, and then he just like goes. So he like dives like crazy all over the place, and so he goes all the way back up to the very top of the pool, so you can see the gold glow again, and then dives all the way back down again, and like you're being dragged like really swimming super fast, and then the worm pulls you all the way down to the bottom. It kind of just stops, and there's just blackness. You can't hear anything. You don't see anything. It's just black, and the worm lets you go, and then swims away really quickly. I was like really confused. I was like, "What now?" I didn't really know what to do because it's just blackness. And then I started swimming down more. And then as you're swimming down, there's like you suddenly see there's another one of you. It's another slug cat. And then so you're swimming. And there's another slug cat next to you, and he's swimming, but he does exactly what you're doing, but like he does it slightly different. Like so,
It's forming a little
according
pack.
to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and then slowly as you keep swimming, you start seeing tons more, till you find this like glowing white orb, and then when you swim into that, the game ends.
Huh.
There's like a few like short image cutscenes, and that's where it's different, I think, depending on what you do. It ended with me being like ending up in like a slug cat heaven, I think.
Crazy. You all died.
It was really weird.
That sounds pretty cool, though, how it happens.
Yeah.
It was really, really like the very end was kind of disappointing because it just kind of ends. But visually, it was really interesting. Like the music and the sound and like everything that was happening, like it was really cool. But then then it kind of ends, and you're like, wait, that's it? I don't know. Like, it's kind of hard. I think it'd be kind of hard no matter what to end this because the game itself is like the story's not really told to you as much. It's kind of like it's like environmental storytelling kind of thing. So it would be kind of hard to end the game no matter what, I think, to have a satisfying story end to it.
It's probably one of those ideas where like the whole journey there is the story.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how I felt when I finished it. I was like, wow, I've like finished my journey. Like I did it. I made it here. I survived all of this stuff, and I went through all this pain and almost controller throwing this. I really like the game overall. I think I can definitely see why it's not a game for everyone, though. It's really has its moments, positive and negative.
Yeah. Hopefully the next one, we can get the kind of format of how we want to discuss it. Like, if we were playing, like, once Pyre comes out, I'm really going to want to play that. And if it's, like, other Supergiant games, it's probably going to be, like, 3 hours. And those 3 hours will be awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of it
but
the game.
It won't be a super long game. I was also going to say, like, Inside is one I think everybody should play because I would love to talk about that one.
Oh, yes. That'd be a really great one to talk about. I think that's a super easy one to run through again. Like, you can run through it in, like, 2 or 3 hours.
Definitely. Like, I think if we were going to talk about
And, like,
that,
just take some
everybody
notes.
should be able to finish it.
Oh, I should throw that on the list.
Like, how long did it take you to beat it? Like 3-4 hours?
Well, I played through everything and got all the achievements. I think it took me 6 hours with all of that.
Yeah.
But that's like 2 playthroughs. I think one playthrough through it's like 3 hours, 4 hours. 2 to 4 hours is what I'd say for one playthrough.
Yeah. It was about the same as Limbo.
All right, so
I think that's where we're going to leave it.
leave it at. All right.
I'll stop broadcasting.